Welcome back. Today, we're going to dive into a topic that makes a lot of people, well, a little nervous: selling. But I want you to forget everything you think you know about high pressure tactics and slick scripts. We're going to explore a completely different way of thinking, a whole new approach built on service, all inspired by the legendary Tom Hopkins. So let's just start with a really simple question that gets right to the heart of it. Are you afraid of the word no? Come on, be honest. That fear of rejection, it's totally universal, and it is probably the single biggest thing that holds us back, not just in sales, but in life, right? But what if no wasn't the end? What if it was just, part of the conversation? To really wrap our heads around this, we gotta look at the man himself, Tom Hopkins. And let me tell you, he was not some kind of born sales genius. Not at all. In his first 6 months, he sold exactly one house and was burning through his savings, pretty much on the verge of quitting. He was absolutely drowning in a sea of no's. So what changed? What was the big turning point for him? Well, it wasn't some clever new script or a fancy sales gimmick. It was a deep, fundamental shift in his entire mindset. He realized that selling wasn't really about pushing a product. It was about something much, much more meaningful. And this right here, this is the core of his entire philosophy. The successful seller doesn't sell, they serve. Just think about that for a second. When you start seeing your job as a way to genuinely help people, the whole dynamic just flips. All that pressure, it just vanishes, and you can actually build a real connection. This slide just lays it all out perfectly. You've got the old way, which is all about pushing, talking, and selling the thing. Then you've got the new way, the Hopkins way, which is about serving, listening, and solving a person's problem. It's a complete 180-degree turn, from talking to listening, from selling to solving. In fact, Hopkins was a huge believer in what we can call the 80-20 rule of communication. See, unsuccessful salespeople, they talk about 80% of the time. But the masters, they flip that completely on its head. They listen 80% of the time. And why? It's simple, really. When you actually listen, the customer tells you everything you need to know to help them. You stop selling a product, and you start selling yourself as someone who truly understands. And you know what? This is probably the most empowering part of this whole thing. Selling isn't some magical talent that you're either born with or you're not. Hopkins always saw it like being a professional athlete. The greats aren't just born, they're made through daily practice and discipline. It is absolutely a skill that you can learn and master. Okay, so we've got the service mindset down. But how does that actually translate into techniques you can use? Let's dive into the psychology of getting to yes, using methods that are all about ethics and building trust. So here's a huge insight. People don't buy features, they buy feelings. They buy what they believe the product will do for them on an emotional level. I mean, think about it. You don't buy a car because of its engine specs. You buy it for that feeling of freedom on the open road, or that sense of security you get knowing your family is safe. Your job is to connect to that feeling. And this forces you to ask a much deeper question. Forget the product for a second. What does this person in front of you truly want? Is it comfort? Is it peace of mind? Maybe it's the feeling of being a hero to their family. The moment you understand that core desire, you know exactly how to truly serve them. One of the most powerful tools for this is a technique called mental visualization. Now, this isn't about just listing off a bunch of facts. It's about using your words to paint a rich, vivid, emotional picture of the future that the customer can literally step into. You're making them live the experience before they even buy. Here's a perfect example. A typical salesperson might say, "Hey, this house has a great backyard." Fine. But a master salesperson would say something like, "Imagine your children playing out there, in the garden, their laughter just filling the air, while you relax right here on the porch with your morning coffee." You see the difference? One is a feature. The other, that's a future. And that is what people buy. This same psychology applies to the way you ask questions. You should never, ever ask a direct, "So, do you want to buy it?" It just puts people on the defensive. Instead, you use what's called a directed choice. Do you prefer the red one or the blue one? Or would you like to get started with the standard plan or the premium? See, both options lead to a yes, but the customer feels like they are totally in control. It's gentle, it's respectful guidance. Okay, and get ready for this number because it might just shock you. A staggering 93% of persuasion is nonverbal. Let that sink in. It's not really what you say, it's how you say it. It's your tone, your smile, your body language. These are the things that build genuine trust.
People might forget your exact words, but they will never, ever forget how you made them feel.
So all of this brings us to an even higher level. This philosophy, it's not just about closing one deal. It's about building an entire career, a reputation, and a legacy that's founded on trust and rock-solid ethics. This idea right here completely redefines what it means to close a sale. For most people, that's the end of the line. But for Hopkins, it's just the beginning. The sale is where the real trust building starts, through great follow-up and just genuine care. Because when you play the long game, you realize your greatest capital isn't your product or your company, it is your personal reputation. When you treat every single customer like they are the most important person in the world, they become your biggest fans, they become your advocates, they do your marketing for you, for free, just because they trust you. And this is why ethics aren't just about being a good person, it is a brilliant business strategy. Sure, you might get away with a shady sale today, but in our hyper-connected world, a bad reputation spreads like wildfire. In the long run, honesty is always the most sustainable and profitable strategy. So, when it's all said and done, a legendary seller is built on these 5 pillars: a sterling reputation, unwavering ethics, a proactive attitude, unshakable self-confidence, and smart money management. These right here are the foundations for a long, successful career. All right, so as we bring this all together, let's focus on the one core philosophy, the one big idea you can start putting into practice today, right now. This final quote just perfectly encapsulates the entire journey. It all starts from within. When you genuinely love what you sell, when you truly believe in what you do, and when your number one goal is to sincerely help people, selling stops being a chore. It just becomes a natural, easy part of who you are. Which brings us to one last, really important question for you. You don't have to change everything overnight. It's about taking that one small step. So, after everything we've talked about, what is the first change you are going to make in how you communicate, how you listen, or how you serve, starting today?